Okay, let's get right into it. What really separates a sharp thinker from, well, everyone else? It's not about having a genius level IQ or reading 1,000 books. It really comes down to their thinking habits. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into some of the most brutal and often hidden signs of weak thinking. And maybe more importantly, we'll talk about how to fix them. You probably met both of these people, right? Maybe you even see a bit of yourself in one of them. On one side, you've got the overconfident mind. This is the person who's 100% certain about everything, quick to judge, and honestly, often wrong. Then you have the total opposite, or so it seems, the paralyzed mind. This person is brilliant, they research everything to death, they plan, but they just never, ever act. They seem like they're from different planets. But here's the big question. What if they aren't opposites? What if being so sure you're right and being so stuck you can't move? What if they're just two different symptoms of the exact same problem? That's the mystery we're going to unravel right now. All right, first up, let's tackle this certainty problem. These are the obvious signs. We're talking about that person who just seems absolutely sure of everything. Now, these habits are usually pretty easy to see in other people, but it can be a little tougher to spot them in the mirror. So, first things first, we need to get something straight. True stupidity, or let's call it weak thinking, isn't about a lack of knowledge. I mean, we all have stuff we don't know, right? No, the real issue is a collection of habits. These are habits that literally prevent you from learning and adapting. It's like they put a padlock on your mind. And sign number one is probably the biggest red flag of them all, extreme certainty. We're talking about that total inability to even consider that you might be wrong. It's a mindset that screams, I already know everything, so please stop talking. That's not a sign of strength, folks. It's a total cognitive dead end. Okay, sign number two is rigid thinking. You know the old saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail? That's exactly it. It's when someone encounters a new problem, but instead of finding a new tool, they just try to force it into an old, familiar box. It's like trying to jam a square peg into a round hole, over and over again. Super predictable, and yeah, incredibly limiting. Then there's sign number three, the blame game. For this person, it is never their fault. Ever. Why was the project late? Oh, my boss is an idiot. Why were you late? The traffic was insane. Why isn't your career going anywhere? The economy. It's always someone or some else. It's a complete refusal to look at their own choices and take any responsibility. And the last of the obvious signs, this one is a bit quieter, but man, it might be the most dangerous. It's a total lack of curiosity. You just never hear them say things like, what if, or I wonder why. And it makes sense, right? If you're convinced you already have all the answers, why would you ever bother asking any questions? Okay, so those are the big, loud, in-your-face signs. But weak thinking can be sneaky. It has this much quieter, more subtle side. And this is where we get into the hidden traps, the ones that often snag really, really smart people. It's what we call the intelligence paradox. And this is where things get really interesting. What happens when being smart actually becomes its own trap? It's a huge paradox, right? You'd think more intelligence would lead to more success, but sometimes it just leads to being completely and utterly stuck. It's like your own powerful brain builds a cage around you. So this is what it looks like in practice. The illusion of productivity. Step one, you research the topic. Awesome. Step two, you research it some more. Okay. Step three, you make a detailed plan to start, eventually. And then, inevitably, step four, you never actually take action. It feels like you're being super productive, but it's all motion and zero progress. And here are the traps that create that paralysis. You've got paralysis of choice. There are just so many options, you can't possibly pick one. Then there's the fear of perfectionism, the idea that if you can't do it perfectly, it's not even worth starting. And it all leads to this awful sinking feeling of frustration from inaction. You know you're capable, you know so much, but you're just stuck. Okay, so we've got these two very different characters, right? The overconfident person who acts without thinking, and the paralyzed intellectual who thinks without acting. On the surface, they couldn't be more different. But now we're going to connect the dots. We're going to name the real culprit behind both of these problems. So what is it? What is it? What's the single thread that connects the person who is way too confident and the person who is completely paralyzed by their own thoughts? Here it is. The answer is cognitive rigidity. It's basically the inability to adapt your thinking when things change or when you get new information. Think about it. For the overconfident person, it means they refuse to change their beliefs even when the facts are staring them in the face. And for the paralyzed person, it's the refusal to change their plan from perfect to just good enough to get started. Both of them are trapped by the same enemy, a rigid, inflexible mind.
All right, so we've named the enemy. That's the hard part. But what do we do about it? How do we actually think better? Well, the good news is, since cognitive rigidity is just a set of bad habits, it means we can build new ones. There is an antidote.
Stephen Hawking really hit the nail on the head with this one. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. Wow. That's it, isn't it? The whole fight is against that feeling that you already know it all. It's about being willing to let go of what you think you know so you can actually learn something new.
So the antidote isn't about cramming more facts into your brain. It's a mindset shift. It's about becoming wiser. First, you have to cultivate what's called cognitive humility. That just means getting comfortable saying, I don't know, or hey, I might be wrong about this. Those are seriously powerful words. Second, practice active curiosity. Just try to ask more questions than you give answers. And third, and this one is so important for anyone who feels stuck, prioritize action over perfection. Seriously, a messy start is 1,000,000 times better than a perfect plan that just gathers dust. So, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Think for a second. What is one thing, just one belief you hold, that you are absolutely 100% certain is true? Got it? Okay. Now just ask yourself, what if I'm wrong about that? Really entertaining that question might just be the first step to your best thinking ever.